Have you ever read Jules Verne's classic novel, Journey to the Center of the Earth? This science fiction novel really stimulates our imagination. The story depicts an adventure into an unknown underground world and captivates the reader. Verne's detailed descriptions and suspenseful plot draw the reader in. When reading this book, you feel as if you're one of the characters exploring the underground world. But what is actually at the center of the Earth? Scientists believe that the Earth has a core made of solid iron and nickel. On a remote peninsula in Japan, a group of scientists have been working for decades on an ambitious project to dig into the Earth and reach the center of the Earth. However, after years of effort, they discovered that they could no longer dig and were forced to abandon their plan. Before we continue, please subscribe, hit the like button, and click the notification bell for more amazing stories to come. Similar to the space race that many people know about, there was another race that was less well known, to dig as deep as possible into the Earth's crust. Compared to the mysteries of the universe, dirt and rocks may not seem all that fascinating, but the Earth's crust is a crucial continuation of the mantle, a mysterious inner layer that makes up about 40% of the Earth's mass. In 1957, an American team launched Mission Mohole and took the lead in the race to drill it. The drilling was seen as a step towards a better understanding of the Earth's interior, providing new insights to the scientific community. The Mohole project was funded by the National Science Foundation. However, 8 years after the project was launched, funding was cut off by the U.S. House of Representatives. Meanwhile, it took some time for the Soviet team to get going, but it wasn't until May 24, 1970, that the Russians actually started drilling towards the center of the Earth. They embarked on a new challenge, starting drilling operations in the sparsely populated Pechensky district of Russia's Kola Peninsula. The Russian team's goal was simple: to drill as deep as possible into the Earth's crust, much deeper than the 600 feet, 183 meters, that the American team managed to reach. The actual target they set was to reach a minimum of 49,000 feet, 14,935 meters. The Russian team used specialized equipment for the project, and the drilling was carried out by the Euromash 4E, a continuous drilling rig also used for drilling oil wells. Throughout the project, the Soviet team developed instruments that allowed them to take physical measurements directly at the bottom of the borehole. In 1974, they upgraded their drilling rig to the Euromash 15,000, which allowed them to work more efficiently. In 1974, the Lone Star Producing Company attempted to drill for oil in Ouachita County, Oklahoma, and although they found no oil, they did manage to drill the deepest hole on Earth at the time. The result of their drilling was the Bertha Rogers Hole, a man-made hole that reached a depth of more than 31,400 feet below the surface. It remains the deepest hole in the United States. On June 6, 1979, that hole was named SG3, and by 1983, it had reached a depth of 39,000 feet below the surface. The hole was 9 inches wide, meaning it was just 10,000 feet short of the minimum target distance the Russian team was aiming for. As a result, they paused drilling for 12 months to allow other researchers to visit and inspect the site. When they resumed drilling a year later, they encountered unexpected technical issues, forcing them to stop work on the SG3 borehole. Undaunted, the Russian team decided to start drilling again in a different borehole. In 1989, the Russian team's new drill hole finally hit its target, about 7.5 miles into the Earth's crust. This achievement gave the team great encouragement and made them confident that they could reach 44,000 feet by 1990. However, things were going to be much harder than they expected. As they continued to dig deeper, they encountered an unexpected obstacle. As the drill slowly approached the center of the Earth, an unexpected change occurred. The first change felt was that the temperature inside the borehole started to change rapidly. As they drilled deeper, the heat started to rise faster. By the time they approached their target depth of 49,000 feet, the temperature inside the borehole had already risen from 180 C, 356 F, to 80 C, 176 F. The team had not expected such a sudden change in temperature. Moreover, the heat was not the only strange phenomenon the Russian team noticed as they continued drilling. For example, the rocks had a plastic-like texture. This strange texture ultimately caused major problems. Not only that, but the heat and the unusual rock texture were also tough on the machinery, affecting the durability of the equipment. At this point, the Russian team began to think that their drilling mission to the center of the Earth was nearing completion. Their equipment would not last long under the conditions of extreme heat and plastic-like rocks. They tried to continue the project until 1992, but it became impossible to dig any deeper, and they had to stop drilling. As a result, the drilling site was officially closed, and the Kola Super Deep Borehole was sealed in 2005. Although the project was abandoned, it was not all a failure. The research team managed to collect some interesting discoveries before sealing the borehole. These discoveries have improved scientific understanding and provided new insights. Although the Russian team was unable to reach the mantle, they did achieve the feat of drilling the deepest hole known to mankind. Throughout their drilling work, they discovered a lot of information that will have a major impact on the scientific community. At a depth of 4 miles, about 6.4 kilometers, the team found tiny fossils of single-celled marine organisms. This discovery proved that biological activity existed within the rocks. The fossils were in very good condition, despite being trapped for a long time several miles below the surface of the Earth. In fact, they are estimated to be more than 2 billion years old. The scientific community definitely considered this discovery a major victory. The discoveries from the Kola Super Deep Borehole have updated the temperature map of the Earth's interior, allowing geologists to count on more realistic data regarding the Earth's temperature. It became clear that the temperatures encountered during drilling were much higher than expected, which represents a major change in the field of geology and indicates that much more can be learned in the years to come. The Russian project has produced a lot of geological data that expands our knowledge of the Earth. Through the Kola Super Deep Borehole, it has become possible to directly observe the structure of the Earth's crust. The Conrad discontinuity is a theory that predicts a change from granite to basalt 36 kilometers below the Earth's surface. This theory was developed based on measurements of seismic waves. For a long time, scientists thought that the Earth's crust was made up of layers ranging from granite to basalt. However, the discoveries of the Kola Super Deep Borehole proved this theory to be incorrect. The Kola Super Deep Borehole has prompted a re-evaluation of many existing theories in geology. The researchers found that at the deepest point of the borehole, only granite was present. However, one of the most interesting findings from the Kola Super Deep Borehole was that they encountered flowing water several miles below the Earth's surface. Until now, liquid water was not thought to exist at such a depth below the Earth's surface. This discovery is opening up new questions and opportunities for exploration for the scientific community. This indicates that the Earth's crust is not as dense as once expected. There were channels through which fluids could flow. The team believed that the flow of water was the result of intense pressure, pushing hydrogen and oxygen atoms out of the rock. Coincidentally, the closure of the Kola superdeep borehole coincided with the collapse of the Soviet Union. It is now marked as an environmental hazard. But that didn't stop people from trying to explore it. It's hard to believe that the deepest hole on Earth is an abandoned drilling site littered with rotting wood and scrap metal. Although the Kola superdeep borehole has welded holes, it's still a fascinating discovery. To date, no one has beaten this record. For reference, the depth of the borehole is equal to the heights of Mount Everest and Mount Fuji combined. The Kola superdeep borehole remains the deepest man-made borehole on Earth. Did this project at least reach the center of the Earth? It is still shallow compared to the total depth of the Earth. The borehole penetrated only about 1/3 of the Earth's crust and only 0.2% of the total distance to the Earth's core. Other countries, such as Germany, Sweden, and Austria, have also tried to reach the Earth's core, but all of them failed to reach deeper than the Kola superdeep borehole. Humanity certainly has a long way to go on its journey to the center of the Earth. No one knows what we will one day find in the mantle. It seems we will just have to wait and see. But advances in science and technology may allow future generations to dig deeper. Ongoing research and the development of new technologies may also point the way to new paths in this endeavor. Binding bonds through beautiful tales. Thank you for watching.